let me out.
Rick put you in there for a reason, sweetie.
How do you react when you receive the scripts to next season? I know that you're right now are doing, I think, the 10th, and you see that they are still having bonkers idea of what they can do with your characters without even flinching.
Yeah, it's the very best part. It's kind of amazing to us, even, this many years in, like every script is so unique and so smart and so different than any other episode that they've ever done. So yeah, it's really such a fun day when you get a new episode of Rick and Morty in your inbox, and to get to see what you're going to get to do that week.
Yeah, I'm always just amazed that they keep coming up with these incredible original stories, some that are standalone and some that, are sort of, they're all sort of related to other episodes in one way or another, but, yeah, it's just kind of dazzling. It's just kind of like, wow, it's fun to read. And then it's exciting when like a year or so later you get to finally watch it. But yeah, I just finished recording, I think the last episode for me anyway of season 9. So I don't know if I've recorded any of season 10 yet, but that's coming up soon.
Chris, especially for you, because it's a tradition that in every season your character received his own adventure, his own arc, and those adventures are crazier and crazier and crazier every time. Do you have your favorite one?
We have recorded it. I honestly don't remember if it was for season 8 or season 9, but yeah, there's one that's got a lot of Jerry in it, and sort of different versions of Jerry. So that's probably going to be my favorite, even though I haven't seen it yet.
This time you have an Easter one.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can say, because we received a very long list of spoilers we're not allowed to even touch during our interviews.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, the Easter episode's amazing.
And Sarah, I'm curious about Beth and her, how to say it, sibling from another dimension. How do you like how this arc is progressing in every season?
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite part of Rick and Morty is that I get to do Beth and Space Beth. And I mean, at the beginning, I thought it was just going to be that one time. And then it kind of grew into Space Beth becoming part of the family. So yeah, it's been really fun. It's kind of just like a different part of the challenge to try and figure out how to make Space Beth and Beth a bit unique from each other and find the ways in which they're the same and in which ways you can kind of switch it up a little bit. And Space Beth, for sure has a bit more of an edge, even than Beth. So it's been really fun.
Please tell me, how are you doing it to have a conversation with yourself and to make it a little bit different, that we hear the difference between those two characters?
So when you're recording by yourself in a booth, and I actually record from Canada, and I have everybody on Zoom, the showrunner, Scott Martyr, and we don't record with the other cast members anyway. So really, when you're doing animation, you actually are having a conversation, just your side of it anyways. You go through the script and you do it scene by scene. And so how we usually do it is Scott will read the scene with you. So you kind of do a couple passes where you're actually doing the scene. And then, so he'll read Beth and I'll read Space Beth. And then you go through it line by line. So you do one line of dialogue, and it's really fun because you can try something so many different ways in like less than a minute. You just try it a bunch of ways. Scott will throw out a few ideas. You'll do it again. And so, really you are having a one-sided conversation, even if you're just doing your character, without having two Beths. And then in terms of having them be more unique, we record them totally separately. So we'll do a script and we'll do all of the Beths, and then we'll do another pass and do all of the Space Beths so that you can kind of differentiate them. And I'll always record Beth first and Space Beth second, so that my voice is starting to get a little more raspy for Space Beth than it is for Beth.
Do you ask Dan and Scott, listen, guys, I need more of Space Beth in this season because I'm a little bit worried that I will not see her for a long time.
I never have. But I always love it when I get to do Space Beth, but I've actually never, I don't think there's any time I've ever called them and said, I would like more of this or that. Like I just literally get the scripts and I can't believe them. I think they're so good. I stay in my lane. There's no world in which I feel like I need to get involved in the writing. It's so good. And it's one of those things where like, every season you kind of go like, oh, I'm so excited to do all of these different adventures and challenges. They're always throwing unique things at you that you haven't done before. So the job is never boring and it's always interesting and challenging.
And also, it's a question to both of you because watching this show for 8 years, right now, 8 seasons is probably something like 10 years. You can see how your audience is widening and widening, and it's from the guys who are 40 like me to actually 15, 16-year-olds. And were you surprised to see how broad this show is?
I'm sometimes surprised at kids, how young they are, whose parents are letting them watch it. I'm sometimes surprised about that. One of my 11-year-old son's classmates came up to me the other day and said, I just started watching Rick and Morty. And, and he loved it. And he wanted a fist bump and all that. And I was just like, well, I'm not quite ready for my son to start watching it yet. But hey, he clearly enjoyed it. And I think a lot of young people enjoy it. And obviously, grown-ups too. So
be honest. When was the first time you watched Simpsons or Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV or Beavis and Butthead?
A lot of those, I mean, I was an adult. I mean, I'm 58. So, all of that stuff, when that came around, I was not a kid. So it wasn't, I certainly watched some R movies probably before I should have, but, not so much the animation, I guess.
I feel like Simpsons, I probably started, watching maybe in my 20s. But yeah, I agree with Chris. I mean, kids start watching this like very young. But it is one of the cool things about the show is the ages that it spans. Like people come up to you who are 90 and loving it. And like Chris said, like 11. And it's also cool, like how we've gotten to watch it become really international. Like when we first started Comic-Con the first year, it hadn't come out yet. So it was just kind of, people asking Dan questions about Community. And then the next year, like there was, some people walking around at Comic-Con dressed as Rick and Morty. And then the next year it was like a sea of Mr. Poopy Buttholes. And we were like, okay, now we know that like it's got a bigger reach.
And also, Sarah, my last question, because our time is getting over. I'm curious, what is the scraps right now? How far, guys, are you there? What's happening?
So I would love to do it. I would love to do it. We had such a good time. It was 8 years which felt really lucky at the time. And it's not something when you finish a job like that, you hug everybody goodbye. And we've all stayed friends, but it's not like you think you're ever going to be doing that particular job again. If I look back on my career, that would be the one that I would want to do again. It was, it was smart. The writing was smart and interesting and kind of different at the time. So I'd be excited to see what ways they could try and make it, groundbreaking for now, because that's what they were trying to do at that time, 20 years ago.